Hey guys, this is Shayla with Whole Motherhood, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So I'm going to talk about provident living and kind of walk you through my own home and the process I go through for trying to become self-reliant. So today, when we talk about provident living, it's being prepared for educational and employment, and being prepared for emergencies and other challenges, and also spiritual preparedness. And so it's a way to act and not be acted upon. So you're prepared for whatever challenges or situations will come into your life or in different situations and circumstances. The Lord wants us to be responsible and independent. And some of that comes with living with this provident living. Provident living helps us develop the character of God. And so God wants us to live providently because of who we become in the process. And so what kind of characteristics do we develop by provident living? And it's interesting because you develop responsibility. It helps us mature and grow up a little bit, but also helps us be generous. We're providing our food and other resources in case of other disasters, and we're providing for other people. And so we learn to become generous and a bit more kind through the self-reliance process. If we don't have food, how can we feed others? If we don't have knowledge, how are we going to share that knowledge with others? If we haven't got that faith in ourselves, how can we build faith in others? And so two things that we're going to talk about today in self-reliance is I'm going to walk you down to my food storage, and we're going to talk about food storage and kind of how to prepare for those emergencies and what is downstairs, and then I'm going to take you outside, and I'm going to show you around to the different things in our yard that we've been able to do to become more self-reliant. And I'm kind of excited about today because it's different, but also I think it's going to be interesting to see any comments you guys have of what you're doing to become self-reliant. Okay, we are down in my food storage room, and so not many people probably have a big food storage room, but if you're able to, you can create probably all you need from just like I bet we're about 12 feet by 14 feet here, or maybe I'll just put it. Okay, so over here we've got the basics of nuts and cold cereals, and down here we've got sugar that we stored. Up here is kind of our emergency preparedness backpacks. If an emergency happened, it has like stored water and like whistles and compasses and flashlights and batteries and different things, so that if there was like a 72-hour emergency that we just had to evacuate the house, it has enough stuff that we could probably survive in there for 3 days. So, okay, so then we've got just normal stuff like paper products and honey, baking items like salt's a big one to have on hand, noodles. We've got, let's see, down here I've got kind of like steel cut oats and cream of wheat and oats and flour. All right, and then over here I've got kind of some more stuff like jellos and popcorn, because that's super important, and peanut butter, cakes, stuffing, chips. Let's see, and then you'll see when we go out we've got grapes that we do grape juice. We tried pickles this year. We do applesauce each year, so that's all the applesauce, and some beans and sugar in the buckets. Let's see, dried beans. All right, then we have some tomato stuff, mainly tomato juice and like whole tomatoes, spaghetti sauces. How about we've got our wheat here. I like making bread. We've been able to store some peaches this year. Again, there's more tomato stuff, lots and lots of tomatoes this year. All right, this is an important section, and this is our like a spice section, because if you're looking for like food storage and you need if you're living off your food storage, you're gonna need some spices to spice things up a bit, or your food's gonna be pretty bland. So garlic salt, cinnamon, chili powder, other stuff. Let's see, I don't know if you can hear the dancing upstairs. That's my little boys. Over here we got more like canned items on this side. Let me see. So like olives and enchilada sauce, some condiments, tomato paste and beans and crackers down here. And so kind of how I rotate stuff is once this one's done, my husband puts that on a list, and then this is done, he gets a new one of these and we just kind of put it under. So there's not any can rotating that I have to roll it forward or anything. But there's some pretty cool ingenious ways that people do those sort of things that aren't very expensive still. So we've got like toilet paper, some cleaning items up here, and then this middle kind of section, it's got like shampoo, toothpaste, deodorants, kind of your general bathroom supply is right there. And then up above, I've got all my food storage stuff. These kind of shelving, they have been fantastic. Really can have like any weight that you are worried about. It can just store lots of weight. Like these bottles are so heavy that we actually had to put one more board just to make sure that the weight didn't make things like sag. So get a strong board for that. All right, I think that's the food storage. And I've seen way good ideas with sticking stuff under beds. Like one lady I knew stuck stuff under her side of the bed, and she would just like push it through. It was like a wood floor, and she had it separated by just like, I think she had bought some inexpensive laminate that she made dividers with. And so she just stuck her can on her side of the bed and then pushed it forward, and so the older cans were on her husband's side of the bed. And so that's how she would keep up the rotation. And so she had all these cans and stuff. And I think if you wanted to cover it, you could put a lovely little bed skirt around it so nobody knows that it's your food storage. But it was so ingenious. And then like people just use what space they have underneath tables or beds, or I don't know, using different closet space with storing buckets and stuff. So using crawl spaces, garage spaces, you got to be careful because you want it to be cool and not humid, but sometimes food can last a few months in not the most ideal place. But you got your 3-month food storage that just have what you eat. Like we eat all this stuff. I know we have a large family, and this is more of like our yearly storage. This isn't something we go through in 3 months. But it's a way that I can manage how much we're eating and kind of track it. All right, so we're going to go outside now, and we're going to kind of walk you through the yard and show you kind of what's out there. First of all, I want to talk about edible landscaping. So if you look over here, our house is kind of surrounded by some black raspberry bushes. So the black raspberry bushes, they have to be 100 feet from a normal raspberry, but they're actually really good. There's a really good flavor about black raspberries, so we kind of planted them along all these edges here. And right now, I think we have a few different varieties, but that's the only variety that's really producing right now. So, but around like our front yard, we have what's called a honeyberry, because they get to be a pretty bush, and the peach trees are actually a pretty tree, and the cherry trees are a pretty tree. So putting those kind of trees in your front yard is a way good idea. Apricot trees, like they bloom and it's got those pretty blossoms. I know that maple trees are awesome, and actually you can tap a maple tree, so that's edible landscaping also. But there's just some trees, like they're just pretty. And even an apple tree has those pretty blossoms in the spring, and so you can really decorate your yard with edible landscaping. All right, this is a quick one of the front yard real quick. These are actually persimmon trees right behind me. And then over here, I've got some cherry trees. Oh, actually, that one's an apricot. But these are gonna be beautiful cherry trees. one day. And then these front ones are kind of interesting. They're like these little ones, but they kind of have just such a beautiful leaf. And these are actually called pawpaws. They're a native to Indiana. The fruit is the Indiana banana. I haven't seen them yet, but I'm looking forward to that. But actually, it's a really pretty tree for the front yard. It's just got a big, beautiful leaf. And it's just going to be really pretty for the front yard. If you can use your yard to like do that kind of landscaping, you're going to be in some pretty good condition once they start growing and producing fruit that you guys can eat. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is having a chicken coop. We actually just built this one a month ago. So this one has new baby chicks in there. But this other one is our older one. It holds about 50 chicks. We got 60 more chicks. Chickens are way easy. And you gotta kind of resupply the mulch so that they're on like fresh mulch every, I don't know, 2 or 3 months to keep down like a stink. But then it like biodegrades and it becomes like this really good free fertilizer. So have chickens, like you can have your own eggs. It's another way to just be self-reliant. Yeah, and just one more thing about chickens is that you don't need very many. I think they suggest you have about 4 because chickens are a bit of a social creature and they don't do very well alone. But 4, if they lay 1 egg a day, you're gonna have like 4 eggs a day. For most people, that's fine. We like about 20, so that we have a couple dozen a day because my kids go through eggs so fast, and so do me and my husband. But it's a really good idea to get some chickens so that you can have eggs on hand, and that's a way to provide for yourself and be self-reliant. You can kill the chickens and eat the meat. That's never worked for us. I don't know why. Like, our chickens aren't really fat enough to even have meat worth doing. But another part I want to talk about is that you don't need a ton of yard to be able to do most of the things that I'm talking about. So what I'm going to show you is, okay, so here we've got, oh, sorry, I chopped down my husband chopped down a peach tree because it wasn't producing fruit. So these are kind of grape rows, and there's 4 of them. Let me see if I can get a good angle there. Can't even see because of the sun. Okay, oh no, these 4 in back of me are the grape rows, but really we get a ton of juice with just 1 row and like a half. And these rows, I believe they're about 100 feet long. Anyway, but you can get a ton of grapes off just 100 feet of grapes. And really, if you don't like grape juice, then it's pretty pointless, so don't plant that. But lots of people like raspberries. We just plant Prelude, but it's the best berry. It produces in the spring and the fall. The fall has kind of a better crop, and so it's kind of fun, but right now they're slowing down, and you can see that it's been a touch drier here lately, but they're still producing. Each row of here is about, you know what, those grape rows must have been 50 feet, because I think these rows are 25 feet. Anyway, but Prelude is the best raspberry. It just is, it's full, it's hearty, it's great, the one for flavor. And if I just had my family, it wasn't trying to produce for other people, I'd probably just have 2 rows. Because even with just 2 rows, we got like gallons of berries throughout the year. Homegrown blackberries are fantastic. And we have, let's see, 5 rows right now. But really, these 2 in the middle are the only ones that produce tons. All these other rows are like, I think we get maybe a gallon off of them a year. But these ones, I will make a note in my comments on what kind of blackberry this is, because it's a way good blackberry. It produces so much, and You can have like gallons and gallons, have a freezer ready, or try to sell them because you're gonna get a ton. So I would say even if it was just my family, like 1 row of blackberries. I know that there's a Primark blackberry that's a really good one in the fall, and we don't have that one yet, but we're hoping to plant some more of those because it's a great fall variety. But if you're looking for like a beautiful landscaping or a beautiful natural fence, and the spring has these pretty purple flowers that produce the blackberries later, but they're just pretty, and it's a natural greenery anyway that you can use for landscaping. All right, bees are pretty self-explanatory. So there's our bees. I think we have about 5 hives. You gotta feed bees. If you're getting them yourself, just to make sure that they have enough to produce what they need to survive the winter. That's how we keep losing ours that way. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to talk about is just planting your apple trees and also planting your gardens. And so, I don't know if I need to walk backwards here. We're in the middle process of building a new shed, so hopefully that'll be done soon. Okay, I just wanted to mention that strawberries are a really good undergrowth for any sort of edible landscaping you want to do. They just make it really pretty among your flower beds, and they can just cover up and spread out. Like they sucker so much, and then you can have more next year. They're just a really pretty edible landscaping you can do for just around flower beds or its own flower bed. But it really looks nice to have strawberries around. It has a little archway here that you can let we've got a kiwi plant that you can let grow up. Again, we've got these honeyberry plants. They're kind of a cross between a blueberry and maybe a blackberry. I can't remember. So, but we're really excited. We've had a couple of them, and they just are going to be a really fun one. So back here, before I go into the gardens, back here we've got about 80 apple trees that really haven't produced yet, but they will. We just have to spray them. Having a couple of them on your land is such a good idea to have that fresh fruit and be able to provide for yourself if you need to. Okay, so here's the garden area, and you can't see it very well, but we have, and it's fall, so nothing's growing. I mean, we have a few tomatoes still, but you can get so much out of a box. So we've got this U-shaped box. This is to help me so that I can weed easier and pick better. But we've tried square foot gardening, and we had so much produce this year. And so finding a way to just even put a garden box or have potted plants and to provide fresh produce and just get what you guys need this year. Really fun, but also a lot of work. And so I don't even know if it's that fun. It's a lot of work, but you're able to provide again for yourself and build up that skill, because what we have now is way different than the garden we started with 20 years ago. And so having that skill and developing that throughout the years is way important to become self-reliant. All right, so I'm kind of gonna sign off for today. Just keep learning and try different things. Put some stuff out in your yard, get some pots, buy a planter box, and experiment with becoming self-reliant and developing those skills. It is so awesome to be able to say, you know what, I don't need to go to the store for that. I just have it out in the garden. I'll just run out and get it. Or I preserve that. I have some stored in my freezer. Peppers were really easy that way this year. All right, just keep learning, and we'll see you guys next time.